The Pinball Network is online. Launching.
Just another pinball podcast.
Hi, this is Just Another Pinball Podcast, episode number 33. My name is Joel Engelberth, and today we have one heck of a guest. I know episode 30, I had a chance to interview George and Tanya and go over Deadpool, kind of the ins and outs of Deadpool and the design process of Deadpool, and I loved that interview. I also had an opportunity to do that with Scott Denisi with TNA. And so I know I've played the heck out of this game, and I knew I wanted to speak to its designer. And so today, on today's episode, we're really going to dive into Godzilla, the design process from start to finish. And really, there's only one person that we can talk to about that, and that is Keith Elwin. Keith Elwin is here. Keith, thanks for joining me today.
Yes, anything to break my my COVID boredom.
Yeah. We were supposed to record this a few days ago, and like late at night the night before, you just said, hey, I don't know if tomorrow's going to happen. I have COVID. I was like, okay, no big deal. And then the next day you're like, my throat's on fire. We're going to have to postpone this. I said, yeah, you do you. So I'm glad you're feeling better.
Yeah, thanks. I blame District 82, by the way.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. Those people up there, I don't know how well that place is run, especially the streaming guys. Yeah. But, so Keith Elwin, he is a senior game designer at Stern. This Godzilla happens to be the fourth game you've designed for Stern, and it is currently rated number 1 overall on Pinside. So I don't know if you ever look at that website or happen to look at that ranking system, but Keith, apparently people like your game.
Yeah, it seems a little excessively high, but I'll take it.
Yeah. I mean, do you want to rank it? Do you want to put it somewhere else? If you, just give it 2. Give yourself some room to grow, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay,
it's no fun being at the top.
You got it. Okay, sounds good. Well, I do. This is a random thank you, but when I interviewed George and Tanya a few months back about Deadpool, I'm a fan of Deadpool. I've really enjoyed Deadpool. I had a pro, and I asked them, can you talk me into getting a premium? And they basically were just like, you got to play one. And one of the things that they credited you to actually is when you hit the left orbit on a premium or an LE, it whips around and there's an up-down ramp that feeds the katana. And George actually said that was your idea. So I don't know if you take credit for that, but George is giving you credit for that.
No, I don't remember that.
Oh, well, I will tell you, I went to a local bar who had a premium. I hit that shot, which is unique to the premium. It's not on the pro. And that sold me. That sold me on upgrading to the premium. So in a roundabout way, Keith, thank you for upselling me on Deadpool Premium. is what I'm saying. So,
because I should be getting commissions.
Yeah. Okay. Talk to George about that.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
I remember that game. That game was such a crunch. I remember when that was a Whitewood in the lab, and George is like, flip it. Tell me what you think. Flip it. Tell me what you think. So. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was amazing what he got done in the amount of time he had to do it.
100%, and that is a game that just continues to go up and up in the rankings as well, which is awesome. And I know from a production standpoint, you guys can't make enough of them. So I'm seeing that right now. Stern is just, you can't make enough Deadpools, you can't make enough Godzillas, really can't make enough everything is what it comes down to. So that's got to be pretty awesome.
Yeah, when I first started, it's like, well, let's see how many we sell on the first run. Now it's just like, it doesn't matter because we can't make enough. So anything we make now is sold out day one.
It's already sold. Yeah. It's not it's somebody's already claimed it, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But so Godzilla, we'll dive in. I mean, to be honest, we could easily do this with all 4 of your games. All 4 of your games have been amazing, but Godzilla is one that I know I've spent a bunch of time on. Zach and Nicole at Flippin' Out let me borrow one for a few months, and I had an absolute blast with it. I know there's a ton of people streaming it. Carl D'Angelo is streaming the heck out of it right now. He's blowing it up in ways probably you never expected. But we could talk about that real quick. Carl, do you watch Carl's streams?
Yeah, I watch the streams and then I adjust the rule set accordingly.
Yeah, exactly. And I have to give you props. The fact that he has a call out when he signs in with Insider Connect, the fact that you've given him like a shout out with the Carl, if he resets, I mean, brilliant. I think that's that. I'm assuming that was your idea.
Actually, that was Mark Rutarelli's idea. He's our systems guy, but he worked heavily on the Insider Connected. And he's our voice guy. I said, hey, why don't you, we'll give Carl a shout out. And not only did one, he did like a dozen.
That's awesome.
And I was one of them. And Mark's like, Carl's just constantly restarting games. We should find out his user ID and then put him a special call out. So yeah, that was pretty funny. Yeah.
That's really well done. Yeah. Really well done. So, I will tell you, when I streamed that game, I was nowhere near what Carl's doing, but, it's pretty cool to see so many different people take the game in so many different directions. And yeah, we'll dive more into that, but let's just go way back to the beginning. So first off, when it comes to like getting this theme, was this something that you had to like fight for, or were you just given it like, hey, Keith, you're on Godzilla? Or was there like a bunch of people internally that were all trying to get this theme?
As far as I remember, I was given this theme a long time ago. I think it was right after Deadpool. George was going to do it.
Okay.
But he was overwhelmed, and he asked me if I wanted to do it. And I said, yeah, absolutely. I think monsters and pinball kind of go together, especially with the cheese of Godzilla.
Yeah.
So yeah, I jumped on that when given the chance, but it was still like 2.5 years out. So in my spare time, I kind of started rewatching the movies and kind of thinking of cool stuff for the game. And then crunch time came on Avengers, and I kind of abandoned it for a while, focused on Avengers. And then after Avengers released, and it's back full steam on Godzilla, and I kind of had a core layout done, but without any toys. And then I just started going to town trying to figure out what toys to use.
See, that really surprises me. And the reason I say that is because this game is just like loaded with toys. And to me, I just assumed that was going to be kind of my next question. Like, where'd you start? I assumed you started with toys, but that's not the case at all. You're saying you completely had a layout, like shots. You knew what shots you wanted, and then you just kind of made toys fit around it.
No. So what I do is, I'll make a layout, but I'll reserve space for toys.
Okay.
So in Godzilla's case, I just had like 4 posts with a gigantic square rubber there. It's like, okay, something cool is going to go here. Okay. And then I did the same for the bottom right where the mecha shield is. Something cool is going to go here. And then, after I got the shots feeling the way I wanted, then I started focusing on, what the toys are going to be. The only toy that was there from like day one was the Magna Grab. That's only because I had already tested it, because it was originally going to be on Avengers.
I remember you said that somewhere. And so I know the Magna Grab is an amazing mech. It's an amazing, amazing mech. It works incredibly well. And I know anytime my friends or family stepped up to the game, and that it causes the ball to do stuff you don't expect, for a ball to be coming down and then whip back around and go back up. Like, you just don't, I don't know. Magnets are incredible. I don't know what else to say about that, but, yeah. So that was the one toy you were like, I'm using this. Yeah. So this is going here, and then you built everything else around it.
Because the way I tried to use it in Avengers, there was a geometry flaw, and I would have had to redesign the whole game.
Okay.
So I was like, I'll just bump this back to the next game and actually design shots around the magnet, obviously, because the ball kind of whips around there.
Yeah.
So I had to design that in there from day one, but everything else was just kind of fill in space here someday. And,
just that's a later problem. Yeah,
but I knew the things I wanted to have. I wanted to have a bridge and a building, and then I wasn't sure about who the villain was going to be, either King Ghidorah or Mecha Godzilla.
Okay.
So I had to rewatch the movies, and then I saw, was it Ready Player One? I think.
Yeah.
Where they had Mecha Godzilla in it. And I was like, okay, this is more recognizable than King Ghidorah. So that's when I said, okay, we're going to make some Mecha Godzilla based toy here. And after watching the original movies with the circular shield that comes up, I was like, all right, perfect. There's our toy. Yeah,
that's awesome. And I'm looking at a picture here of the playfield, and it, to me, like the building mech. Me and Travis and Tom on the Triple Drain podcast, we kind of geeked out about this for a while. And before you dethroned it, Medieval Madness was the number one game. And I think there's a ton of love for the castle in Medieval Madness. And I know for a lot of novice players, it's a very obvious, like, very clear-cut thing to shoot for. It's a really cool mech. And to me, it's like, I feel like you took that and you expanded even further. You put this building on a playfield that truly changes the shots. It interacts well. I mean, did you know from day one you were going to do something crazy with the building, or what? How did that kind of become what it became?
Yeah, I wanted to do some crazy multiple way diverter. So that's how I went into it. And I was like, well, I can have this vertical diverter that changes 3 different shots. And it's going to go up and down, and this can be the building. You can smash the building, and then the building lowers, and it changes the shot. And that's kind of where I started.
Yeah.
And then once we started prototyping, Harrison's like, there's like an inch and a half of space left on the roof where it hits the glass, so we barely have room for a ball lock. So I was like, ooh, all right. And then we started messing with that, and we mocked up an Aerosmith Premium vertical up kicker, which is the tallest we've ever done.
Okay.
We mocked it up with that, and it's like, oh yeah, this has no problem shooting the ball all the way up here. And that's how the locking system was got added to that. So then it became like a full functioning diverter / ball lock mechanism.
Yeah.
And then I also, it's funny you mentioned the medieval castle. I actually prefer Attack from Mars because I like bashing the center and getting the ball back right away.
Okay.
The medieval castle, it's really cool. It's animated, but I hate shooting it and waiting for the ball to dribble back out. So when I designed the building, I was like, I want to have this like a 2-stage skill shot where, if you shoot the ball into the blue pads, you get a bash, you get a credit for it, but then the ball comes flying back at your flippers.
Mm-hmm.
If you snake it through the tiny shot between the blue pads, you're going to get, credit for a bigger bash, plus the ball will be set up on your upper flipper.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and that shot, well, the other way, like if you happen to hit the shot directly to the left of the building, it whizzes back at you. I'm glad now in the later code you've like rewarded that, because I know early on it was like, why is this impossible shot on the playfield the one that I seem to keep hitting the most?
Okay, there's actually a funny story behind that. So originally in the Whitewood, the magnet grab, the cylinder was a little bit bigger.
Okay.
And that shot was not possible.
Okay.
But we couldn't source that material in time, so we had to go with one with a slightly smaller diameter. And so when we put that in there, all of a sudden, like, a couple of weeks before production, we realized, oh, now you can actually shoot this shot. Crap. So we actually had to redesign part of the building so the ball wouldn't get stuck back there when it's down. And that's why then when the game released, it didn't do anything. Because it was such a last second scramble change. I was like, yeah, we'll do something with this eventually.
There you go. Eventually. Yeah. But no, it's awesome. I mean, it's a really cool shot now because, believe it or not, there have been times, because it'll spot you a shot, that it's like, you know what, to me, it's almost easier for me to try to aim for that right now. It's probably terrible, like tournament strategy or whatever. It's a very dangerous shot, but I don't care. I mean, I'm shooting for it. It's fun. It's a fun shot when you shoot it, but
it is fun. But yeah, it was never intended to be a shot until the very last second. So
awesome. Well, just looking around the shots, I mean, this game, we talk about in pinball, we talk about fan layouts, and most of the time it's like, you have your 2 flippers at the bottom and all the shots are just left to right, nice big open fan. But this is so far from that. I mean, you have shots like the tail whip shot. You're hitting an almost directly horizontal shot that then is coming down at you. I mean, like, was that an early on kind of thing, or did you just think, well, I'm going to plunge it this way and maybe I can actually go back the other way and make that part of the game?
No, that was very early on, actually. I played some classic, I guess you could call them classic Gottlieb 80B games, and they had some really weird, unusual shots. And one of them was Deadly Weapon, where you can kind of shoot this shot from the bottom left flipper into that thing, and it whips around, kind of similar to Godzilla, but except it feeds right into the in lane.
Okay.
So I was looking at that shot, and I was like, that'd be a cool shot, but it'd be cooler if you can hit it from an upper flipper, and it didn't go to the in lane because it was so fast. So I was like, okay, I'll just have it, whip around here. So we mocked that up pretty early. I was like, oh, this actually works. And then, you can combo the loop into the reverse loop, I think I called it at the time. I was like, yeah, this opens up some cool combo opportunities. So that shot was in early and never really changed, honestly, from the first concept.
Nice. And the fact that you have shots like the upper flipper, the fact that you have a shot that goes behind the upper flipper, not in both directions, to go, under it to rip that spinner versus over it. I mean, it's this game combos all over the place, and you add in a spiral wire form on the way. It just seems like nothing's straight or linear. Everything's just whirling in and out, which is really, really a lot of fun.
That left shot with the floating upper flipper, that was another thing I was wanting to do. Something that, some old school games did. And then after playing Doodlebug, I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Not having no lane guide to the flipper. This is cool. I want to do something similar. Obviously, I can't do that on the bottom. So I chose the upper flipper. And actually, the Helix ball guide you're talking about, that George was like, saw my ramp and he's like, this is boring, put a Helix in it. And I was like, all right,
come on, Keith, this is boring. No,
well, after Avengers, he saw my wire ramps were just kind of straight, and he's, I don't care what it costs, we're putting a Helix in this. So I was like, okay,
dude, that's awesome. I mean, Avengers is an incredible game, and I borrowed an Avengers for a while, and I loved playing it. The shots, everything felt great. The shots were great. My one negative, and I can't believe I'm saying something negative to you, Keith, but my one negative was, friends and family that are not pinball players would step up to Avengers, and they didn't. There was nothing on there that like screamed at them, like do this thing, and so I'd have to talk them through it. And I think that's what some of these higher ranking games usually have, some sort of mech that just yells at you like, this looks fun, try to do something with it. And that's, I see every one of your games. It seems like you're just building on the one prior, you're only getting better. And that's the one thing that I think you've just crushed in this game, is there are so many areas of this game that if we completely remove the code, you still want to shoot it. Like, you still want to shoot the building. You still want to see how that left ramp works. You still want to figure out the right ramp, that upper loop, the tail whip shot, and then every one of your toys, the bridge, the building, the Mecha Godzilla. I mean, did you go in with like a different mentality in this game? Like, I want to focus more on toys, or I don't know. I don't know how, I mean, this game stands out so much in that way.
Yeah. So unfortunately, Avengers was a victim of both kind of a short, I think I had a 10-month window to do Avengers.
Wow. Yeah.
So and coupled with that, that's when COVID hit and we were shut down for a couple months. So Avengers unfortunately took the brunt of that as far as like, any kind of cool mechanical devices. So Harrison and I were against the gun, my engineer, to kind of just reimagine existing mechs. So that's why we kind of took the Batman spinning disc and kind of modified it to use just one post, and then obviously we had modified to go up and down on the premium, and then with the Flight 2000 lock, I wanted a subway, so we kind of did an upgraded version of that. So yeah, we didn't have time to like really imagine anything from scratch in that game, but it's funny because I actually think that's my best shooting game. And I think that was part of I didn't have time to second guess anything. I had to get it right the first time. So I really didn't take any monumental risks. Obviously the blocking tower, the magnetic tower, was like the one, thing from my imagination that ended up in the game. Actually, I think it's pretty cool.
Shot, that is a very fun shot.
We were surprised how well that worked. He's like, hey, look, you can catch a ball. Why don't you shoot another ball up there? Let's see. Hey, it catches two balls. Yeah.
When you're playing Soul Gym and you're limited on the number of flips and you're down to like one or two and you sink that shot to finish it, that is an incredibly satisfying shot. That entire mode, the Soul Gym mode where you're limited on flips, there were times that like my brother-in-law would come over and they're not the best players, but I would get them to that mode. I would play and then I'd step off and be like, hey, now you play. Try this out, because that was really cool for sure.
Yeah, I was just, I took a step back and it's like, what is something that is like totally unique to an expert player? They don't care about flipping. They'll just like use waist flips, getting the ball under control. So that got me thinking. And I know Carl did something similar at a Pinball at the Lake tournament. I think he had a modified creature where you can only flip so many times.
Oh, wow.
And I kind of had forgotten about that. And then when I was thinking of this, I was like, oh, so I think I went and looked for footage of it. And I was like, yeah, that's actually kind of cool. So if we take this and actually make it like just a single mode of a game, this could be a lot of fun. And yeah, we Rick looked at me like I'm crazy. What, you want the mode to end when you ran out of flips? What?
Yep.
And he was like, yeah, okay. So we tried it. And you're like, okay, this is pretty cool. But then, Raymond's like, oh, this is way too easy.
Of course. Yeah.
I was like, well, yeah, this mode isn't for us, Raymond. And then I was watching Bowen give a tutorial, and he was just intentionally wasting flips because it was so easy. And it just pissed me off to the point. He's like, all right, you know what? I think we need to add one more tier to this.
Yeah.
Add a hard mode. So if you hold the action button, he's like, all right, go ahead, waste flips now, Bowen.
So you yourself are a pretty decent pinball player. So it's like you have people at Stern, you and Timmy and Ray Day and Zach. I mean, like some really high end players, and you guys are, play testing your games. You're I don't know, like your skill level is so high. How is it a challenge for you to like design games for all different tiers of player? For like the homeowners that want to just slowly chip away at a game for years and years and years, and then other people like Carl that blow it up with every single code update you give them, and then you have other people that barely scratch the surface of the game but still want to be entertained by some of the novelty items or the simple things in the game. Like, do you find that challenging?
Yeah, it's very challenging. So for Godzilla, I kind of went back to my maiden approach, where it's like, okay, you got all these things available. They're all pretty close to the start button. Choose your path, but once you get, halfway through the game, then you're going to have to start, making some important decisions and collecting things you need to collect. So that's the approach I took for Godzilla. Nothing is really locked up right away. There's so many different modes available in battles, and then even unlocking the tier 2, a tier 2 battle isn't that hard. So my goal is just like, an average player can get there.
Yeah.
So Godzilla definitely, I kind of put a lot of stuff towards the start button, and then that's kind of what we're released with. So members are seeing people, wow, there's really not much strategy in this game. It's like, well, yeah, because
just wait. Yeah.
Got to get the game out the door with something, and then we'll start adding some stuff Carl will sink his teeth into later. So I think I did that with the annihilation bonuses and the city perk stuff. So and now the next update should have the power-ups, which will further confound Carl.
Perfect. Yeah, that's something that I think is awesome, because it gives people like Zach Mini. He's all about just moments. Like he just wants to progress through a game, and there are times that's how I focus. So there's a lot of content here. You can there's a lot of different battles. There's a lot of different stuff to do and see and experience. And if that's your focus, to kind of work your way through the game just to get through it, then that's fine. But for the top tier players like Carl, like Raymond, the fact that they want to go to every city and do as much as they can in that city before they move to the city, because then it gives them crazy bonus. I mean, it's you've given a lot. I think you've given a lot to all the different skill levels, which is awesome. I mean, I can't thank you enough for that, because it makes a more versatile game that really fits every audience.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely learned a lesson with Avengers, where I was like, hey, these each one of these gems does something, unique, and it changes the game. But I always intended that to be for players like Carl and Escher, and it's like, the average player doesn't really need to know what they do; they just need to collect them.
Yeah,
I get all this feedback. I don't know what this gem did. Where do I put it? I'm confused. I don't want to play this. So it's just like, it doesn't matter. I think you're overstating how important they are, because they're just basically perks. They don't really like affect your journey from the beginning to end of the game. So I took a lesson with that, and it's just like, I'm just, I'll bury this stuff even further in the game. So it's not going to be something that, Joe Blow at the bar presses start and it's like, well, what do I do with this?
It's going to be annoyed. Yeah. What do I pick? Yeah. I totally get it.
And I hate games that have a bunch of choices too. So that's another thing I try to avoid, is like, choose your character and, such and such for whatever perk.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, the perks are in the game, but you can choose, you can choose them anytime. And, it's just the whole game's open up to you.
Yeah, for sure. No, absolutely. Well, let's just kind of work our way around the playfield here. First off, I think you do an exceptional job giving, like, you have fun shots all like as close as you possibly can to the in lanes and out lanes. So like the mazer cannon, there are so many times that I had to hit that shot and it's so far up that, it's like, come on, just hit the freaking shot. And, I don't know. I'm assuming you've figured all that out. Like how far can I push it? How low on these playfields can I go with these shots?
No, I mean, that's just a stand-up target, so I wasn't too worried about that.
Yeah.
I was worried about the shot above it because it's kind of narrow.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, this is going to be a tough shot. It's not. I don't think it's quite as hard as Revive on Maiden, but it's close.
You've made it it's a frustrating shot, but when you hit it, the fact that you gave us a spinner to rip immediately makes it worth it, because hearing that sound, it's such an awarding sound. And then on top of that, there are times when you hit that left spinner that the magnet grab then grabs the shot, which makes it even more satisfying. So it's those are both very important shots, but they're both fun. I mean, they're both fun shots. You've added good light shows to them. But speaking of spinners, I mean, I know we're going to work our way around here. You gave us 3. I mean, why not 5 or 4? Like, just keep them coming. Put a spinner on everything. We can't get enough spinners. So I thank you though that you put 3 on the game for sure.
I love spinners, obviously. The funny thing is, actually, they serve a purpose. So the reason the one on the left is a normal size spinner and the other 2 are wide is because the 2 wide ones were actually meant to slow the ball down a little bit, whereas the one on the left, it didn't matter. If you want to rip that one, you can rip it because it's going to hit that magnet anyway. So,
yep.
Yeah. So I wanted the big heavy spinners in the middle and the mecha to both, just to slow the ball down. Plus, I think they're more fun to rip once you get those big heavy ones going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, rip and spinner. Now, I mean, are you a fan of opto spinners? I mean, is that the next goal? Or because I mean, those just spin for days on Rush here that I'm borrowing. I mean, that thing just spins and spins all day.
Of course, yes.
Yeah.
The problem with the opto spinners are I can afford 3 regular spinners for the cost of 1 opto spinner. So.
Okay. Well, in that case, I'll tell you right now. Thank you. I would rather take the 3 regular spinners over the opto. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
There are people, that have made comments about the bomb. Like when this game came out, they're like, well, clearly Stern got smart and gave Keith more of a bomb. And what I will tell you is I think you just put the entire bomb on the top of the playfield. Like everything is there. Everything's visible. When you lift the playfield up, you don't see nearly the amount of mechs that you were used to seeing on other. I mean, I'm not saying that in a bad way. I think personally, and maybe Stern did give you more of a bomb, but I just think you use the money in very lucrative places, like you're saying, instead of an opto spinner, you did 3 spinners. Maybe in the middle of the play field where the Godzilla art is, instead of having a ton of LED inserts, you save that money a little bit and put it towards another mech. I mean, whatever you did with your money management, I feel like you did it the right way. So congrats on that.
Oh, thanks. A lot of that's for the engineer Harrison designs a lot of these. Hey, I can cut $5 out of this by using this type of hardware or whatever, and that's more of the engineer's job to get the cost down. Where for me, I'm just like, hey, I want this here and that there, and he'll either tell me I'm dreaming or he'll all right, I might need to redesign, because it's just like anything else. He does multiple iterations of something.
Yeah.
Like when the building was originally tons and tons of standoffs and hardware inside of it, and it was really heavy. He was like, well, we need to cut some of this out of here. So, it just takes numerous goes and tries until we figure out a nice balance between quality and reliability and cost. And yeah.
Yeah, well, congrats on that. I mean, I just know like the buildings on the backdrop of the game, the fact that those are 3D molded buildings. I mean, that to me is like, holy cow! Like they didn't spare any expense. Like they give us everything on this. even on the Pro, we're so used to either just a sticker back there or a stand up, like a plastic. I mean, was that your idea? Was that something like, hey, let's really make this even more dynamic back here?
I originally had a bunch of the flat plastics bracketed together, and when the powers that be saw that, and they're like, that looks like a pain in the ass to put together. Let's just use molded buildings. So I was like, works for me.
Nice. So more expense, but yet less labor. That's That sounds good. Yeah.
Plus, it looks way better. Yeah.
It looks great. It really adds so much more. It makes it so dynamic back there.
Yeah.
All right. So working our way around, we've already, so left spinner, ripping that. We talked about the left flipper. I mean, that's fantastic. Adds a ton to the game. The left ramp, the whamp, by the way, hit the whamps. I know you read that all over the place. I love it. I personally find hit the whamps hilarious, but the left ramp, you really have to hit that clean. I mean, it is back there and you cannot rattle that shot, but when you hit it, it feels good. Like it's just a simple ramp, but I don't know. Was there anything different originally for that? Or you just always had that kind of envision of this way back left vertical, turnaround ramp?
I mean, that's literally the only place we can put a left ramp and have it feed through the building. So it was by necessity.
It works, and it is cool when you combo those shots left and right. I mean, they travel so far. That's the other thing. The fact that the return, goes one way and then whips back around and comes back around to the other flipper. I
didn't mind if that shot failed.
Okay.
If it rattled or didn't make it all the way up, because then it sets up your upper flipper.
It sets up the upper flipper. Yeah.
I didn't mind it. I didn't mind it all if that it has to be a perfect shot to make it, because if not, okay, well, you still have an upper flipper set up shot.
Yeah. That is one thing I like about Turtles, the fact that Borg, there are parts in the game that it understands, hey, you're probably going to want to hit an upper loop or an upper ramp right now. So it throws that diverter up to like stop the ball from being in orbit and then feeds the upper flipper. I have found there's certain other games where the upper flipper is really important and there's very few shots that feed it. So yeah, I applaud
Mystery
you
Castle.
on that, actually. Yeah. What else we got? The Magna Grab. So the Magna Grab, you said you originally designed that for Avengers, so you actually have some good, R&D time spent on that. It's so functional. I mean, there's actually a captive ball behind that, correct? I mean, it's not just the
post.
But
it's strictly used to trigger a switch.
Yep.
Because obviously there's this big, huge round magnet underneath the playfield, so we had to put the stand-up target, like 3 inches past where the mechanism that grabs it's at. So it made sense to make that just a captive ball. I know I saw some people complain, well, you can't see it. I was like, well, it was never really intended to be a visible captive ball. It was just basically using it to know that it's been hit. So
where did that, I mean, you've credited a lot of other games for some of these ideas, but where did the captive ball magnet, where did that come from?
That came from my imagination, I reckon. I can't think of anything that came from.
Nice.
And I'm always sitting around thinking of stupid crap. So I think that was one of them. Hey, it'd be cool to have a magnetic Newton ball.
Yeah.
And like I say, we kind of messed around with that on Avengers, but the problem was it kept leaving residual magnetism on the balls, and it would get stuck on there. And it's like Harrison's like, yeah, we don't have time to do this. We'll have to put a cap on here so it doesn't magnetically trap the ball. No,
when in doubt, magnets are magical. So the more magnets, the better. And then, I think I'm not here to tell you or give you design philosophy, but when in doubt, more magnets, more spinners. That's all I got to say.
I got to say, and also magnets aren't cheap. They're very expensive. And
okay.
If you're just going to hide it under the playfield and have it whip the ball around, I think there's more we can do with them. So
that's a good point.
Stranger Things is a great example. It's like, here's a magnet that does a really cool little trick for you. You know, I think, I think we need to think outside the box a little more when it comes to magnets.
Hey, I'm all for it. I will support you in that endeavor. So keep it up. Then we talked about the little left shot to the left of the building. Apparently that was never planned, but it's become a fun shot, and there's some risk reward there. So nice job there. Building. I mean, the building itself is incredible. I really loved during the stream when you streamed it originally. You actually broke it apart, and once I saw that there were different. The fact that it diverts the ball in a different way depending on where it's at, or it loads the shot up top. I mean, what an incredible mech. I mean, I don't really think anybody's complained about that. I don't know. You should be proud of that. If you're not, you should. That mech is incredible.
I actually went to the art store and bought a bunch of foam core and mocked that up with business cards, foam core, glue. I kind of made this like little crossing intersection there we call the X. Just make sure the ball can feed through there. And after building that and it's like, okay, this actually works. Let's build a prototype. And yeah, it's been solid. I mean, I haven't seen any complaints of reliability or anything for that mech. So
yeah, it's a big mech. It's heavy and it moves a lot. So I'm with you. I haven't read anything on pin side of it being, anything about it not being, I don't know, stable or supportive. Now I do know there's some people ask, so when the balls are locked on top and then when it comes down, where are those balls supposed to go?
So if you hold up the left flipper, it should hit the tip of the left flipper.
Okay. All right. Because I know there's some people making mods that kind of divert it in a different way. And I think I read somewhere that the goal was to try to get them out of the way as soon as possible or something. I mean, I don't.
Well, so when the building's down, it leaves the ramp exits exposed.
Okay.
So if you were to one time it from a building drop up a ramp, it's going to launch somewhere on the playfield. Or it can land back on top of the building. So that was why I kind of moved the feed to as close as the tip of the flipper as you can get, so you can't one time shoot it up a ramp.
Nice.
I mean, if people want to modify it to dump wherever, that's fine. But keep in mind, it is possible to shoot a ball up the ramp and have it get stuck somewhere.
Good point. So fantastic job with that mech. Directly to the right of that is a big old fat spinner right there in the middle of the play field, and that sets up so many different shots. It's just a fun shot. I don't know. I mean, I don't really know what to say about it. It's nothing fancy. It's just a nice, kind of looping spinner rip right up the middle.
It's got a little serpentine action to it, to slow the ball down. But yeah, that was the only the tough part of engineering that shot. It was like, if I can't make a direct shot because it's going to fly past the upper flipper too fast. So we designed it to lose a lot of energy, both between the big fat spinner and serpentining through the ball guides. So there's a whole lot of energy left by the time it gets to the flipper and you have time to react.
You're not just designing a shot. You're actually like, the speed of the ball is just as crucial as the placement of this shot. That's pretty.
That's correct.
That's some next level thinking there, Keith. So I mean, well done.
Thanks.
So then you got the right ramp. The right ramp is another fun ramp, and you have to hit it from the left flipper. That one's a little more forgiving than the left ramp, but I will say, I mean, it does whip around really quick, goes through the building, and then it hits that bridge mech. I mean, that bridge mech is another fun toy. Watching that thing kind of tremble during different times, or I mean, you said you always wanted a bridge mech. I mean, was there anything? Multiple iterations or troubleshooting that you did with that whole setup?
No. It was based on some toy that came in this Godzilla pack George gave me, of this little purple bridge that it kind of comes apart in the middle. So I'm sitting there looking at it, and I was like, hey, this would be kind of cool if normally the ball travels across it no problem, but every once in a while the thing breaks and drops the ball, puts it in harm's path. So that's what I was going for, and yeah, that worked. It's worked flawless.
Yeah, it's another great mech. Yeah, for sure. And then you have your typical upper loop. I mean, another upper loop that just feels fun to hit. It's repeatable. I will tell you, the animation that you've added when you hit that, the spinning guy, right? The guy that spins around. My daughter, she's almost 4. So when I had Godzilla, first off, every time we played Godzilla, she was always like, why are the buildings on fire? Why? And she's like, she couldn't understand. Is Godzilla the good guy or the bad guy? I was trying to explain this, but she would stand on a chair in front of me while I'd play. And the first time she saw that guy spin around, she decided to spin around, and so that just became a thing. If she saw the guy spin around, she would spin around, and it was like that became the most entertaining part of Godzilla to her, was ripping that upper shot and trying to get in. And I love that you track how many times you've done it the game, how many consistent times you've done it. I mean, it's just an upper loop. It shouldn't be as fun as it is, but you've made that, I mean, with the animation and everything, made that really an enjoyable.
I cannot believe I came across that animation. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I need an animation for this repeating loop shot. And so I was just drudging through the hundreds of hours of footage we have. And there's Jet Jaguar spinning in circles. I was like, oh my God, this is perfect.
Perfect. Yeah.
he's even spinning in the correct direction.
Yeah. I have to applaud you. The amount of character. I mean, you embrace the campiness of Godzilla to the nth degree. I mean, you made this a very fun, enjoyable, funny game. And I think the animations that you pulled from it, I mean, like, the extra ball animation of, like Godzilla, like dancing, there's a lot, or the when you drain and you shoot again animation. I mean, there's so much fun in that game. That was more time well spent watching hundreds and hundreds of hours, apparently, finding these animations.
Yeah. Also, I'm the one that extracted all the clips and edited them down. So that was
wow.
Probably I spent more time doing that than actually designing the game.
Well, thank you, thank you for doing it, because I mean, it's one more thing. Like, Avengers still a fantastic game, but the animation, the LCD was something that I think people feel, left a little bit to be desired. But like this game, it's hilarious. Like there are so many things that I would point to people and be like, hey, watch this, and I'd hit a shot just so they'd see the animation. And then your 3D animators did such a great job of seamlessly weaving in actual things that they created with TV clips. The animation and display in this game is incredibly well done. It's
yeah. That was tricky for me, because I was like, hey, we got all this footage. I don't want to use too much of the animators' time. But then there were just some things we did not have because we didn't have access to all the movies. And some of the footage is so grainy and bad from the black and white movies. It's like the train and the bridge, both of those the footage was just not up to par for what we needed. So Denai, our lead software, the 3D animator on this project was, oh yeah, I can do that, no problem, I can do that. And he made Hedera from a 3D model, which you probably can't even tell you're not watching the movie because he did such a good job with that.
Yeah, that just here's my whatever I thought of, just a random thing, but the Mothra call out when you get the ball save it's probably my favorite call out in like all pinball. There's something about that when you're doing a multi-ball or something and things are going nuts. And when I play games, I put a headphone adapter on every one of my games just because I want to hear everything. And when you hear that Mothra, like it's such a good, like it just makes you feel good. It's like, thank you Mothra for bringing that ball back. So once again, if that was your idea, thank you for putting that in the game.
No, that was 100% Jerry Thompson.
Nice.
So we actually didn't have the rights to that call out.
Okay.
So he worked with some girls to just deadpan nail that the song lyric, and he put that in. I was like, wow, this is amazing.
Oh man,
it sounds just like them, but the quality was 100 times better than what was in the movie anyway. So yeah, that's all Jerry.
Now, I have to say, I'm pretty certain that the stand-up or the insert on the playfield says save out lanes, plural.
Yes.
And Mothra only works on the left out lane. That burned me.
It actually says light out lanes.
Light out lanes. There you go.
Yeah, we still got another out lane,
The right out lane, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't give you the return if you drain on the right out lane.
Well, right lane doesn't do anything because it's not coded.
Oh, okay. All right. So wait and see kind of situation. Gotcha.
Yes.
All right. Because I remember early on, I was like, sweet. And then I drained out the right out lane. I was like, what is going on? What do you mean light out lanes? Where's my out lane? Yeah. But man, that left out lane though, Mothra. So at the time of recording, we're recording this on March 3rd, 2022. And you're at what, 0.91 code?
Yes.
Yeah. So we've got only more goodies to come, which is exciting. So still working our way around the play field. We have the tail whip shot. We already kind of discussed that. Fantastic shot. Hard to hit, but it is quite enjoyable when you hit it.
Actually, when the shield's open, at least on mine, you can shoot the center spinner and just hold the flipper up and it goes right through there.
So my entire experience was on the Pro. I've only played the premium a few times, and the Pro was a more challenging shot. But what I do have to give you credit for, because on the Pro, when you're trying to hit the Mechagodzilla targets, there's 2 or 3 of those targets that are nowhere. They're not even pointed. 2 of them. There's 2 targets that are not even pointed towards your lower flippers. And so early on, I was like, how in the world am I supposed to hit that target? And I got to give credit to Travis Murray. Travis is like, here's what you do. You hit the middle spinner, you hold up your left flipper, you let it just bounce off the left flipper and kind of give it a little nudge up. And it every single time hits that side target. And I was like, he had to have done that on purpose. So, I mean, if you can lie to me right now and tell me you didn't, but did you design it that way? Because it works perfectly when you do it.
I was hoping it would. Obviously, I can't 100% and 100% of the machines, but
yeah,
that was my intent. Yes.
Well,
I made one shot. It was really hard to pull that mech out and put targets in a similar kind of an array.
Yeah.
That area was a little tricky, but ended up being a little tighter, but probably a little smoother. So
it worked, at least on a pro. I mean, early on, I was like, well, that's not fair. Like the premium, it turns and it's faced. I mean, it points it right at you. But then on the pro, once I learned that, so anybody listening, if you have a pro and you've been pissed off of that target, just hit the center, spinner, hold your left flipper up, give it a little nudge, boom, it'll hit it every time.
Yeah, it's actually less of a sucker shot on the pro.
Yeah, it's awesome. And then you got the right spinner. Once again, can't thank you enough. More spinners, the better. That's always a good time. And on the premium, the fact you got that little jump ramp to hit Mechagodzilla right in the tummy. I mean, come on, that's a great shot. And the magnet holds it, so another great. I mean, that's something like the magnet holding it. Like if you're going to cut a mat, you could cut that, but it makes that moment because then it stops the ball and everything. I mean, was there always plans to put a magnet in him, or what was? That get added? Yeah,
that was always there because like. Okay, you can bash him, cool, but we have all this movie footage we want to show, and obviously when you're playing a pro, the whole intro starts going on before you can even see what's going on. So at least the premium in LE, he'll sit there and hold the ball and give you a show, a little moment. You actually hold it on for quite a while it's kicking other balls out to give you a little bit of a breather.
Yeah, so. That's a very cool mech. I mean, on the pro, you don't get that; it just kind of loops back around, but it's still a fun shot. I mean, when you're giving me that satisfaction with ripping a spinner, so that's always enjoyable. and then probably your favorite thing on this playfield, which is that scoop. I know you love scoops, Keith. I know in your world, the more scoops on a playfield, the better. Am I right?
Yes.
Yes. No, I think you have said very clearly before you hate scoops. And apparently it slows the ball down too. Is that the logic behind your hatred of a scoop?
I just don't think they're fun to shoot. No,
okay.
They're not. But obviously they serve a purpose, and in this case, I needed a scoop.
Yep.
So you take the good with the bad, and since it's so far off to the side, it's not like it's going to be a satisfying shot anyway. So it's a perfect spot for it.
It becomes, what I found is some of the most frustrating shots become the most satisfying shots. And I know so I don't know why, like one shot I always think about is with World Cup soccer, the freaking scoop to start multi-ball. It's right there. It should be easy, but for whatever reason it isn't. And so when you finally hit it, you know what I'm saying.
I know why. It's because it's angled weird. Okay. I think that's actually the beauty of that scoop. It's the same with Tales from the Crypt. It's got that scoop that's angled at a very weird angle, and it makes it hard to hit. And you're just like, this is more frustrating than fun. Yeah, and it's the same with the World Cup soccer. It's like, why can't I hit this?
Yeah, it's right there. It's right there staring. But this was one of them. When I first got this game, it's like the scoop. It's like, God, I have to hit the scoop to do this. Like I can't progress in the game until I hit this scoop. But once you dial that in, I mean, Metallica has a similar thing. Guardians of the Galaxy, like once you find that scoop, it's finally like, I need to hit it. Here we go. Here you go. And you miss. And then in your case, you're evil and you just put a pop bumper right next to it to throw the ball out of control. But once you finally do hit that scoop, you finally get to take that breath. Like, oh, okay, thank you. Like, yep, let me get my ally. So was that a late addition, or is that always? I mean, when was that added onto your playfield?
The scoop?
Yeah.
It wasn't that late. I originally had 2 pop bumpers in my first drawing, but
where was the other one?
Where the scoop is.
Just 2. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other pop bumper was positioned slightly different. And it just there was no action there. It was kind of boring. I was like, I need a scoop anyway. I think I'd rather just yank this pop, put a scoop there.
Nice. Well, great call, because that by doing that, it made the single pop bumper like more, I don't know, like it makes it feel unique. I think it's awesome with it being a UFO, but it's just, there's something about having a single pop bumper that almost makes it more enjoyable than if you put a cluster of pop bumpers. And you've coded that really well into the game too, making that some of the battle like finish shots or different times where you have to hit it for saucer attacks. So
credit ready, aim, fire for that. I remember playing that game at Papa, and there were times where you have to hit a lit pop bumper. And I'm sitting there thinking, this is the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. And then I do it. I was like, okay, actually that's kind of fun. I want to do that someday. It's so, this is perfect because it's so far off to the side. The flipper's not too powerful. It's not going to hurt it.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm going to make people shoot it. And I knew it was successful when I tuned in to watch Carl actually trying to shoot a pop bumper. And I was like, okay,
nice.
I knew the risk reward is there.
Yeah, and
I get dangled that carrot of an extra ball.
Absolutely. And you added additional code where if you shats the right in lane and it goes up and hits the pop, that's pretty cool. That's funny.
That was
shot.
Actually never intended on the first Whitewood. It wasn't until the second Whitewood I noticed that, and I was like, oh, you can actually chats this. All right.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Put some Easter eggs in there for that.
Well, speaking of Easter eggs, your mystery shots. There's 10 mystery combos that you've just hidden in this game, and I will tell you, as somebody who has streamed it and even watching Carl stream it, all of a sudden you hear that sound, and it is a really good sound. Jerry picked a great sound for that to like bring it to your attention. Like, hey, you just did something. These mystery combos. And then you immediately question, like, what did I just do? What combo did I hit?
Yeah.
And we've come to find out some of these combos are nuts. Like they're kind of a fluke. Like what just happened kind of thing. And I don't think all 10 have been found yet, which is pretty amazing.
Nice. Yeah, they're meant to be stupid. That's why they're not worth very many points. It wasn't until like the last 4, Dean Grover, actually, I had him work on those. It wasn't until the last 4. I was like, okay, if we're going to unlock header at 2, then we'll put some in that you can shoot.
Nice.
So like I know one of them is shoot the center spinner, and then shoot the pop bumper, stuff like that. Okay, you can do this. You can. I think one of them is bank off the shield into the building. You can do that, but some of them are ridiculous, like the slingshot hitting the ball backwards through the mecha lane, through the skill shot lane. It's like,
yeah, and that's where you have the people that are doing with Insider Connect, the achievement hunting, are like, that's the only one I don't have is the 10. It's like, well, good luck, man. Like
the most I've gotten is 9. You're right. I don't know what the 10th one is. I'd have to look at my cheat sheet.
Yeah, well,
I'll publish it eventually.
Yeah, Carl has a cheat sheet going, and he, I think it's
does he
hilarious.
have all 10?
I don't think he has all 10.
Okay,
he may not yet, but yeah, I would say, I mean, that's going around the playfield. I mean, there's great shots all around. Now I do know one of the questions I'd asked George and Tanya on Deadpool, which people now quote all the time, are like, do you have any suggested tweaks or fixes to this game? Do you have a suggested playfield angle for this game? And then lastly, flipper position. When you're setting up the flippers, do you have like, they want to hear it out of the designer's mouth, right? What do you suggest for this game?
It is so ironic. I don't know where this wives' tale came that I went on some mountain, proclaimed Jurassic Park needs to be played at this degree. Yeah. I have never, ever, ever suggested a plane angle for anyone. That's why I think it's hilarious. Where people keep saying, "Is he going to chime in what angle to put us in?" Like he did Jurassic Park. It was like I never did that. Yeah. Now, to be honest, our Whitewood games don't even have the little bubbles on them. Yeah. So I don't even know what angle I'm playing at. And I'll say this as also as an operator for a long time. It's just like when you get to a location, set it up to where you think it plays best. And this is one of those things where it's like if it's too many outlane drains for you, you probably need to make it steeper. If it's way too fast, you're having a hard time making the ramps, and lower the rake a little bit. But these stupid apps, which I don't think work half the time anyway. And I see people complain the building drains straight down the middle, but my 99-cent app says it's level. It's probably not. This game is very, very touchy for the rear leg leveling, unlike most games. So that's why I said get yourself a good digital level, put it at the top where the building is, and then level that. So
side to side is way more critical in your world than the front to back.
On Godzilla, it's definitely the most sensitive because of the magna drop stuff.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm fine with that answer. I mean, I think the fact that I just think there are certain games out there that it's like if you can get it right here to this one particular, that's when all the shots start to work. And no, it seems like you've designed a game that will work with pretty much any angle you throw at it. So as long as it's good side to side, that's fine with me.
And another wives' tale, I think you just brought it up, is that the flipper angle, they are not supposed to be even with the in lanes. There's only one designer who did that. That was Steve. No other designer does that. So it cracks me up when people say, well, they're flopped. They're not where they're supposed to be. And it's like, take a look at George's, myself, Brian, John's games. None of them align with the in lane. Yep. Mine tend to be a little bit more flops. And And it's funny because when George was doing Deadpool, we were experimenting. We just kept flopping and flopping, getting the flippers lower just to make that side ramp even easier.
Yeah.
And so Godzillas are slightly flopped for two reasons. One is obviously to make the shots to the sides more accessible with more power, but also to reduce power going to the building.
Ah, okay, yeah.
The building's pretty sturdy, as you know, but we like to keep it that way and not just completely destroy it with power shots up the middle. So that's the reason the flippers are angled where they are.
Yeah, and George basically said the way that he looks at flipper angle is instead of trying to put a straight edge, at the top of the in lane and try to keep the top of your flipper all perfectly in sync, he's saying no, take a straight edge. You have the two screws that hold the actual in lanes down. You put the ruler dead center of those two screws, and you want the ruler to then end up dead center of the point of the flipper. And once he explained it that way, I was like, oh, that makes way more sense. Okay. And if you line your flippers up that way instead of focusing on like the hole in the playfield, it's actually, I think, way easier to line the flippers up. So it sounds like you support that
those
technique.
Holes are so incredibly hard to get right because there's not a template. Basically what I do is so I get a white wood, there's no markings on it whatsoever. I align the flippers. Okay, the game plays best like this. Okay, now how do I translate this into CAD, which is not that easy. Because basically I just get a Sharpie, put a little dot roughly where the center of the flipper tip is, and then I have to take all kinds of excruciating measurements to figure out exactly where that is.
Wow, yeah.
So where to put the dot in the CAD. And
hope
Godzilla
best,
Godzilla actually had a last second upper flipper change where I actually kicked it a little bit further counterclockwise out just to help with the magnet drop to give you a little bit more power knocking the ball into the lane.
Nice. No, I think that's great. I know people. I don't know why they just want to hear it from you. Like is my game set up right?
Believe it or not, I spend hours messing with those dots. It's infuriating to me. I hate it more than anything. It's just because I know it feels good. It's just like getting it translated to the other, hundreds of games coming off the line. It's like, okay, where do these go? Because you get like one shot to get it right. And if we have to make a last second change, because it's a spotting press. So it just dimples the playfield. It doesn't actually drill anything, and that is done way before like the game goes into production. So it is frustrating. Harrison knows how I get. Like 3 months before the game goes out, I'm freaking out about the alignment dots.
Yeah, no pressure. That's the time you gotta get it all figured out. Yeah. Well, I mean, we're approaching our 1 hour mark. We really dove in on hardware, and to be honest, there's a whole other side of this game which is incredible, and that's the software. And I don't think we have enough time to really dive in. But I would assume. I mean, are you thinking about code? Are you thinking about software? Right at the beginning, or at what point does that enter your head? Because you're also the one thinking up all the rules and everything else that's going to go on in this game.
So yeah, I'll have like basic rules in my head when I'm designing a game. So I knew this building, all right, you're going to bash this building, the building's going to collapse, and then it's going to be a multi-ball, and then you're going to have this the mecha toy, and the shield's going to go up. You have to defeat the shield, and it opens up, and so I have some basic rules. Probably like everything that the game released with. That's probably what I initially wrote.
Okay.
And in this case, it was super easy because the achievement system was basically based on my initial rule sheet.
Nice.
So there was only like 40 achievements at the time. So it was like, yeah, that's basically, I'm making a very simple game. And then once, the framework's all coded in there, then we could start adding, elements of, strategy and skill and deeper stuff.
Nice.
It's still to this day working on the rule set.
Well, one thing Travis suggested, Travis Murray, which I think would be hilarious, is you should just automatically give everybody 1 point when they play the game the first time on Insider Connected, and then you got to leave the final wizard mode and make that 4 points or something. Or no, you get whatever it is, make it so that everybody could have every single achievement, but that 1 point that they're missing or something, so that it keeps them up at night. Carl will sit there and play it until he gets all the achievements, kind of thing. But
yeah, I want some hidden achievements. Like there's an entire ball save storyline being told in this game.
Oh wow!
You rarely get all the way through, so I was thinking about making that an achievement.
Hey, go for it! I'm all for it. I know I don't have the skill to force myself to play a game to get all the achievements, but hey, if you can keep Carl or Raymond or Travis or some of these high end players up at night because they don't have all their points yet, then I support you in that. Yeah.
Oh, that's absolutely the plan. Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Well, I mean, that's really all I can, looking at my cheat sheet here. I mean, I think we've pretty much hit everything. Is there anything else you want to say about this game, or?
Oh, it's been a long journey.
Yeah.
I'm happy everyone loves it. I love it too. I play it every day. I'm sure Rick will be excited when it's finally at 1.0. Yeah. It's when everything falls into place, a licensor that's great to work with, assets, a motivated team, it's just super fun.
Yeah, and it's I will say, as a player, to be 100% honest, Zach's let me borrow a handful of games for the last 2 years roughly, and this was one of those, like, Godzilla's never been a thing I cared about, and it showed up, and it took me like 1 day of playing it, and I was like, holy crap, what am I going to have to sell to buy one of these games? And on top of that, I have to buy the freaking premium, because as much as I'm enjoying the pro, I played the premium a handful of times at Expo, and it just blew me away. So thanks a bunch, Keith.
Well, you know what?
Yeah.
So I think of my job this way. I'm getting paid to make people buy something they didn't think they wanted.
Okay.
And it's funny you say that, because I wasn't into Godzilla at all. I mean, I watched it when I was a kid, but I hadn't seen them in many, many years. I was not into Jurassic Park. I was like, wow, this movie's still around. It's like, I wasn't, so it helps that, I think it helps if I get a theme that I'm not totally into, and then I can kind of turn that into, like, well, if I was a general Joe public, what can make this fun? And then, then I'll delve into the theme, and it's like, okay, this isn't so bad. Like, now I look at Jurassic Park, it's like, oh yeah, that's an amazing theme for pinball. What was I thinking? Yeah. Sometimes, I'm just stuck in my stubborn ways of some of these movies I saw a long time ago. I was like, as a kid when I saw it, I don't want to see it now. But they work. They just work.
Absolutely. And that's pretty impressive. If you can make, and you did exactly what you're talking about. You're taking themes, Iron Maiden. There were plenty of people that they probably didn't even like Iron Maiden, but you've made a game that's now, they've enjoyed. And Avengers is a great theme, Jurassic Park, great theme, but this is definitely one of them. I mean, there are some Godzilla diehards out there that they saw Godzilla, they bought it. But the reason this game is selling the way it is and is positioned the way it is because of what you've done, what you've added to it. It's not the theme that's selling this game. But so congrats on that. I'm annoyed at you, for doing that, because now I'm probably gonna have to buy one of these games, because it's just an absolute blast. And now you're almost making me excited about, like, what are you gonna do when you get a theme that you're super stoked about? I mean, I don't know.
I don't know if I ever want that.
Okay. Perfect. So if anybody ever asks you, what are your dream themes, we'll just know.
Yeah, it's like, if this is truly a dream theme, I don't want to do it because the pressure is too much. I'd rather do something. It's like, that could be cool for pinball. And let's say like Iron Maiden. I was like, I hardly heard any Iron Maiden songs when I started working on Iron Maiden. Then I went back, listened to their music, saw how Eddie incorporates into all their stuff. It was like, oh, this is an amazing theme. And it's like this was totally off my radar my entire life, but now it's like this works perfect for pinball.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think George Gomez said something when I interviewed him that really stuck with me, which is, like, at the end of the day, he wants to make a pinball machine that is fun in the white wood. Like he's like, if people are enjoying themselves when it's a white wood, then I know I've done my job. And Deadpool has so many fun shots that are just the way it moves around. And I can absolutely see that in this game. You know, the shots themselves are the fun part. Everything else you've added, the humor of the clips, the sound package, the light show, the art. I mean, Zombie Eddie's art's incredible. The mechs, that's only built on top of this core shot layout that's giving you continued satisfaction. So, yeah, well done.
I mean, I think having comedy in pinball is a must.
Yeah.
And we're a little skeptical about Toho's. Like, we don't know how these guys are going to react. I mean, we're basically kind of making fun of some of their characters.
Yeah.
You know, the case in point is the Brooklyn accent guy. He's an actual character in the movie. He's an astronaut, but that's exactly how he acts. It's like, we're going to take this act and just, you know, expand upon it, you know, and they loved it. So it worked out.
That's awesome. Well, great. Well, once again, Keith, thanks a ton for doing this. I really appreciated it and really enjoyed the conversation. This is a great game, and I'm glad. Well, you know how good it is, and I hope you're proud of it because you should be. And you know, thank you for what you're doing for pinball, and I can't wait to see what else. Not only the rest of the code on this game, but also, you know, what's coming next from you and from Stern. So,
well, when we talk about the next game, we can talk about Godzilla 1.0.
Hey, yeah, sounds like a plan.
All right.
Absolutely. Well, for everybody that was listening to this, my name is Joel. This is Just Another Pinball Podcast. If there's anything I can do for you, feel free to email me at justanotherpinball@gmail.com. Also, feel free to listen to the Triple Drain podcast on TPN. But yeah, thanks again, Keith, and hopefully we can talk again soon.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Bye, guys.